Backing up a horse is one of the 3 groundwork fundamentals I use to establish gentle leadership. The goal of this exercise is to teach the horse to respect your personal space. Horses are quite large animals, and leaving a foot under a hoof has never been a good experience. We want our horses to understand that they should respect that safety bubble between them and us. They should never invade that space unless asked otherwise, of course. After a few sessions, your horse will be accustomed to this exercise. That will actually become natural for him to back up when asked. Pretty soon, you will not need to hold the rope at all, and you will be able to ask him to back up from his side or even from behind. Of course, the more you practice, and the more responsive your horse will be. As mentioned in the introduction to my natural horsemanship program, I will use some old footage in my videos to show what a rookie usually looks like. I will also include some more recent footage to illustrate the progress you will go through after a few years of practice. First of all, you should place yourself in front of the horse only if you know him well enough. With a green horse, or a so-called problem horse, unless you already have a lot of experience, you should place yourself on a parallel line, a couple of feet before him. In the case of a very dominating horse, you may keep your flag to push him away if necessary. Raise gently your hand at the level of the horse's eyes. That is to catch his attention and inform him that we start to work. We don't want to trick him here. Then, wiggle your hand softly, just enough for the horse to feel the rope balancing under his chin. You should shake your hand for a few seconds to leave the horse some time to understand the cue. Next, if he does not respond, it is time to offer the second deal. Still gentle, but firm. Bump on the rope until the horse responds. He might just switch his weight back, or better, make one step back. That is when you should release, at once, and go to your horse and pet him. Leave him a few seconds to soak up that process, and start over again. Pretty soon, your horse will understand that he has to back up on the first cue if he wants to avoid that uncomfortable bumping. That is a perfect illustration of how to make the wrong thing difficult and the right thing easy. After a few minutes, any horse can understand that exercise. It is very easy to set up with your horse and clearly establish leadership. Remember, the one who backs up loses his place as a leader. So make sure you do not back up. Usually, with a good, balanced horse, the second day you try this exercise, you will get a quick and smooth response. That is very important in the daily life with a horse. Whenever you want to back him up in the stable, out of a trailer, out of your space, if he moves forward when you saddle him, and many other situations. Many horses will be reluctant at the beginning, as they know that the very minute they step back, they give you the leadership. That is the reason why you have to be consistent and to reward this gentle yielding behavior. Make sure your horse understands that you are a good and fair leader, not a tyrant. Every time he gives you the expected response, release pressure, pet your horse, and leave him in peace for a few seconds, maybe a minute or two if it has been hard for your horse to give up. Green horses, or horses that did not work for a few days or weeks, might be reluctant at the beginning of the session. You will have to be firm, yet make sure you never act with anger. Anger is the worst feeling for a horseman or a horsewoman. It does blind your judgment and make you act without thinking. Your horse should never fear your anger, but he should respect you. You ought to gently remind him that you are the leader of that herd. A herd starts out of two individuals. That is your horse and you. Having said that, remember that you want to finish the exercise on a positive note. Reassure your horse and pet him. Some horses will try to avoid pressure by looking for possible escapes on their right or on their left. The most dominating horses might actually try to move forward and run over you. In that case, keep the flag in hand and push the horse away by waving it under his chin or tapping his breast. Remember, in such a situation, I first advise you to find help from a professional. If you can't, you should keep in mind your safety is the priority and should do everything that is necessary to prevent your horse from coming into your space. For horses who try to go right or left, you have to keep in mind that the horse's head should be aligned with his body and your own position. Timing is very important, as you have to pull the head right back in front of you at the very second the horse tries to move around. Pretty soon, he will understand that he has only one peaceful way, and that is back. Lunging is a fundamental step in a horse's education for several reasons. All equine trainers will tell you how important it is to develop the horse's athletic capacities. Many trainers will also teach you how important it is to help the horse to correct his balance and potential stiffness. All this is true, and yet incomplete. Before thinking about training your horse, you should think about educating him for your own safety. That is the main reason why you need to lunge your horse correctly. First, teach him to respect your personal space and move around you without ever being a danger to you or any other human. Second, establish leadership based on respect and make sure your horse listens to your cues from the ground before you get on. Whether you are an apprentice or an experienced driver, you may fasten your seatbelt and check your mirrors before you start your engine, right? Lunging is the same to horsemanship. Basic checks before riding your horse. When lunging, you re-establish your connection with the horse. You remind each other your respective position within the herd. And, most of all, you consolidate that bond that will lead to a sustainable and respectful relationship on the long term. As mentioned in the introduction to my natural horsemanship program, I will use some old footage in my videos to show what a rookie usually looks like. I will also include some more recent footage to illustrate the progress you will go through after a few years of practice. First of all, unless you work with a colt, you can stand in front of your horse and point a direction by raising the hand that is holding the lead rope. Do not pull on the rope. Just point a direction and let some time to your horse to understand and respond. At the beginning, your horse may not move. So, do not be afraid to use your flag as a second deal by increasing pressure. Wave it gently around your horse first, then tap it on his flank or his hind end until you get a response. As soon as the horse moves into the right direction, release pressure and let him walk nicely around you. Finally, when you ask for a stop, try to be consistent and particular. Turn toward the hip and increase pressure. You should push the hind legs until they cross, the horse pivoting on his forelegs. Due to their monocular vision, you may remember that horses need to be taught the same exercise on both sides. So, once you have been through the complete process on one side, repeat the same on the other. That is important if you want to have a balanced and a safe horse. During the first session, once both sides have been practiced on the walk, you can start to speed up your horse to the trot. Repeat the process to make him move forward. Then point the same direction until he starts to trot. If he does not understand, you should wave your flag again until the horse jogs or trots. Then release pressure and reward. Later on, you should repeat the whole exercise and add the canter. First, point a direction and let some time to your horse to respond. Do not be too hasty. Then, make sure your horse is walking quietly, not jumping around or trotting without you asking. Once your horse trots peacefully around you, it is time to ask for the loop. Point the same direction and let some time to your horse to think about this new cue. Then, put pressure by waving the flag until he lopes around you. The first time, canter will be rough and you may need to run a little bit. But step by step the horse will get used to it, get relaxed, and lope nicely. After a few days of practice, your horse and you will be a lot more synchronized. It will become a kind of a smooth dance, raising a hand to a walk, then to a trot and a canter, wiggling the rope to slow down to a trot, a walk, and finally to stop. Some horses, either because you could not catch their attention or because of their dominating character, will tend to lose focus or simply disregard you. Remaining consistent is the best response to such behavior. Wave the flag firmly. Put pressure suddenly to wake your horse up and regain his attention. You should keep your flag in hand during the first sessions to teach your horse to bend correctly around you when walking in a circle. Head should be tipped inside, rib cage bent outside, the whole body following the shape of the circle. To get that bending, you can simply raise your flag toward the horse's shoulder. And whenever he starts to look outside, A light touch of your fingers on the rope should bring his attention back to you. Keep in mind that you should always give your horse some time to think about the cue. After a while, if you still get no response, you should put pressure by raising the flag, waving it, and tapping it on the horse's flank or hind end to get a response. Remember, release pressure and get back to a neutral position as soon as the horse starts to move. Repeat the process every time the horse stops. Point, wave, tap. Pretty soon, you will not have to tap anymore. And a few moments later, waving the flag will not be necessary neither. Some horses will respond to pressure by crowding you, as a defensive move. You have to be firm from the very beginning, as such a habit can become quite dangerous. As soon as your horse gets closer to you, raise the flag and tap his flank until he walks around you in a nice circle. And don't worry, you can be very firm with that flag. It doesn't hurt at all. I actually tried on myself first. I have a simple rule. Don't do to a horse something he couldn't cope with. Eventually, what you are looking for is the horse to step to the right or left, clearly making an effort to respect your personal space. Consistency is the key to a good lunging. A few minutes at the beginning of each and every session, clear cues, firm second deals, and a good position all the time will shape your horse up and establish a respectful leadership within a few days only. Desensitizing a horse is a key to establish leadership based on respect instead of fear. Indeed, this will teach your horse to feel safe and comfortable around you, even under disturbing conditions. The purpose of this exercise is to give your horse the strength to be approached by unknown objects, to be touched everywhere, and to bear noises that could be first considered as stressful or signs of imminent danger. A few sessions with this quarter horse were enough for him to feel really good around flag. These fundamental exercises should be repeated each and every time you visit your horse. After a short while, you can start to desensitize him on the move. First on the walk, then on a trot, and eventually on the lope. Later on, once your horse is not prone to unexpected reactions, you may start desensitizing him from the saddle. Yet, make sure you have first taught him the one-rein stop. That is covered in another video. The process from the saddle is the same as from the ground. First, your horse should remain still and relaxed. Then you can walk, trot, and lope him under more pressure. We do not want our horse to become dull, but we want to make sure he can control his fear and remain calm all the time. This video of my groundwork program is an updated version of the work I used to do as a rookie. It shows the mechanics one needs to perform when learning to feel a horse. I left that old footage on purpose to show what a rookie usually looks like. I also include some more recent footage to illustrate the progress you will go through after a few years of practice. At the beginning, you should position yourself at an angle of 45 degrees to the horse's shoulder. Distance should be a little longer than the length of your arm. That is the safest place, as the horse cannot kick you, nor rear or hit you. Hold the rope in your left hand about 3 feet or 1 meter from the fiado knot. You should hold your hand as high as your horse's head, so you can protect yourself, just in case. Thumb up, the rope should be loose in your hand, except if the horse is really green. Cold starting is covered in other videos. You should keep his head straight in line all the time, slightly tipped inside. Hold the flag in the right hand as you would hold the tennis racket, firm but not hard. It is extremely important to recognize when your horse shows signs of relaxation. That is when he lowers the neck, when his eyes close, when he licks his lips, or when he cocks a hind leg. You have to train yourself to recognize these signs, as these are the exact moments when you should release all pressure. That is how your horse understands what you expect from him, which is remaining calm and relaxed all the time when you are around. Once you have worked on one side, it is time to start again on the other side. Horse's eyes being on each side of the head, what comes from the right is not perceived exactly the same as when it comes from the left. That is a reason why some horses that are pretty calm on one side will react as if they never met that flag before when you switch to the other side. So, in order to have a balanced horse, make sure you perform these exercises on both sides. Always keep that rule in mind, as it concerns all exercises from groundwork to the saddle. As you see with this Iberian gelding, you can certainly notice his tendency to lower the neck and head as a relaxation sign. Yet, there is a moment when the horseman or horsewoman should make the difference between a mechanical response and a real relaxation sign. Some horses will take bad habits as they understand that bringing the head down will evacuate pressure. That is where your empathy, your feel of the horse, becomes a great tool. Make sure that your horse will respond with more than one relaxation sign. Bringing the head down is usually the first sign. Then he will blink his eyes. Next he will lick his lips or chew. Finally, he will cock a hind leg. If you notice the first sign all the time, that means you should keep pressure a little longer, until you can notice one of the other 3 signs. Then only you can release pressure. Remember that the most important part of a visit to your horse is where you stop, not where you start. A horse may feel really good with the flag at the end of the first day and jump all around when you come in the arena with the same flag on the day after. That is okay. Do not get frustrated and do not give up. It is part of the process. Just make sure that you end this new session on a positive note. Stop that exercise when your horse is completely relaxed. He might jump again the day after, but probably for a shorter period of time, and probably with less energy. After a few days, he will not move at all when you start waving the flag. That is when you are ready to start a new and more complicated exercise. After 2 or 3 groundwork sessions, probably after only half an hour when you get used to these exercises, you can trust your horse and stay in front of him safely. Then, you can start to desensitize him around the head. That is an important part of the process, as a head-shy horse will never be comfortable with a rider on his back. You should wave the flag above the head and under the chin until the horse gets relaxed. These 2 spots, if not desensitized correctly, can be the cause of spooky reactions, stressed behavior, and sometimes bucking reflexes. You should look for itchy spots. It can be under the belly, along the neck, behind the tail, or simply when tapping the saddle. Wherever it is, the horse will tell you as he will start to move, flinch, raise the head, close the mouth tight, or show any other sign of nervousness. That is a red alert for you. That means you have to insist on that particular spot until the horse gets relaxed. And do that again the day after. And the next day until your horse does not even flinch when you approach that spot. A good habit you should take as soon as possible is to wave your flag all the time. When you pick your horse up at the pasture, when you walk from the stables to the arena and the other way around, the more you wave the flag, the more your horse will get used to it. It's a simple way to make him feel more comfortable with other potential stressful objects. There are some mistrained horses that will remain fidgety around the flag. Not necessarily because they are afraid, but because they have been conditioned to move whenever some kind of pressure is going on. The secret is to remain patient. Keep waving the flag until the horse stops. Pretty soon, he will understand that the flag is not a cue by itself. Only your hands and your legs are giving instructions, and he will quickly make the difference. Until the moment you can bring that flag on the saddle and still have a peaceful horse. Some horses will be really spooky around the flag, either by nature or sometimes because they were mistreated in the past. Whatever the reason, you should take a little more time to desensitize them. First, let the horse smell the flag, then wave it from a little farther than usual and get closer step by step. Important. Do not let any misbehavior derail you from your goal. Wait for an effort from the horse. At the very beginning, you may release pressure as soon as the horse stops. Then you will wait for him to stand still a few seconds. Finally, you should wait for a sign of relaxation. All these can be done during the first session. Within a day or two, the horse will feel a lot more comfortable around the flag, because trust is getting built between the two of you.
Never